أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My name is Mohammed Tayyib Wasi. I am shooting in high school Islamabad campus in foundation level. Because when we come with a new math, tomorrow we also come with a new math. Let's start. Hello Maya.
Hey, what's up?
My first question is, what is the organ of word story?
I think you said organ of birth story. Could you clarify what you're asking about exactly?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you're curious about the story behind the organ of birth. I'm assuming you mean the uterus or the womb. Fascinating history! The uterus has been recognized across cultures and throughout history as absolutely central to life. Ancient Egyptians and Greeks already understood its connection to reproduction. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, documented its anatomy pretty closely way back when. But it wasn't until much later that we really understood how it all worked. The menstrual cycle, implantation, fetal development. People had ideas, of course, but reliable scientific understanding of the uterus and pregnancy took centuries of observation and research to get where we are today. Pretty amazing when you think about it. Something so fundamental to human existence took so long to really understand. Does that get it, what you're asking about?
Okay. The next question is,
Good morning.
how does the meaning of sorry change over time?
That's a fascinating question. It's a bit abstract, so let me see if I'm understanding you correctly. Are you asking how our understanding of memory and how we store information impacts how we perceive or experience time? Yeah, absolutely. When we think about what gets stored in our minds, these memories, experiences, moments, they're not just snapshots. They literally shape how we see the present and anticipate the future. Our past experiences influence what we pay attention to now, what decisions we make, and even how fast time seems to be moving. If we're having a really meaningful experience, our brain stores more details, making that time feel richer, but also like it lasts longer when we reflect on it. But when we're not really engaged or not forming strong memories, those moments kind of blur together. That's why people say time flies when you're having fun. So, yeah, what we store and how we store it changes how we relate to time as not just some theoretical idea. How does that resonate with what you were thinking about?
What does sorry entirely mean in its earliest form?
That's a really cool question. Sorry actually comes from Old English sorry, which originally meant sorrowful or full of woe. So its earliest meaning was about feeling deep sadness or regret. Over time, it shifted to mean feeling bad or showing sympathy for someone else's pain or misfortune. Later, it took on this sense of offering apology for something we did wrong. It's wild how a word that started about emotional pain evolved to be used for asking forgiveness. Pretty much all about sorrow at the root, though. Go ahead, tell me.
Okay. The
I'm
next
listening.
question is, why do different cultures interpret the word sorry?
You're asking why different cultures interpret and use the word sorry differently, right? That's a big one, and there's a lot going on there. Cultures like Japan have incredibly refined systems of apologizing with layers of depth and meaning around every nuance. There, apologizing isn't just about admitting guilt, but restoring harmony within relationships and society. In some other cultures, apologies are a lot more direct, while others avoid them altogether because direct confrontation or expressing personal failings isn't viewed positively.
Okay. Is sorry always
It also
connected to
depends on
lie
how
to
cultures.
is sorry
In some
always
Latin
connected
American
to
cultures,
or correct?
it really depends on the broader social norms about expressing vulnerability and taking ownership versus saving face or maintaining social harmony. So, sorry might be said a lot in one culture, but completely avoided in another, depending on the social situation. That makes sense. Cultures really vary in how they prefer handling mistakes or discomfort between people.
Okay.
Does that answer what you were going for?
My next question is sorry always connected to guilt or reject?
You're asking if sorry is always tied to being at fault or something being messed up? I get what you're asking, whether it's always about taking responsibility for something broken or wrong.
Okay.
The thing is, it doesn't have to be. Sorry can be used in different ways. We can say, I'm sorry for your loss. That's expressing sympathy. Or, I'm sorry to hear that, which isn't about us doing something wrong, but still showing compassion. So it can be genuine remorse when we've made a mistake, but it's also often about showing empathy or support.
Okay. My next.
Basically, it's not always about, oh, you're telling me your name? What is it?
My question is, why do people feel the need
Go ahead,
to
finish your
sorry?
thought. Feel the need to. What are you asking about? Take your time. Take your time. I'm here.
My question is, why do people feel the need to apologize?
Thanks for clarifying. Sounds like your question is, why do people feel the need to open lives, as in share details about their personal lives? That's a big question. What makes you curious about that? I think you might be asking about vulnerability, like why people share personal things about themselves. People open up for lots of different reasons, to feel closer to others, to build trust, to ask for help when they need it. Sometimes it's just human nature, you know? We're wired to connect and we need that sense of belonging. But other times, people share their lives because they're processing something and need to talk it through. Everyone is different, though.
Okay. My next question
Does that make
is,
sense?
what emotion are involved in saying sorry?
Great question. A lot of emotion actually goes into a sorry. Guilt is the big one when you've actually done something wrong. But it can also involve empathy when you're saying sorry to someone else's pain. Sometimes you might feel shame if you hurt someone, or responsibility if something went wrong in a situation you were part of. And sometimes there can even be fear, maybe fear of consequences or fear of damaging a relationship. It really depends on the situation. Okay. You're
Okay.
going to tell me something, I'm listening.
My next question is, can saying sorry reduce guilt?
Thanks. Okay, so your question is, can sanctuary be reused? I'm not sure if I caught that correctly. Could you say that one more time?
Hello, Maya.
Take your. Hey there.
My question is, can saying sorry reduce guilt?
You're asking if saying sorry can heal wounds or close gaps between people? Absolutely. A genuine apology, especially one that's sincere and actually makes you want to make it better between you and the other person, can be pretty powerful. It can bring people closer and build trust where there's been hurt or conflict. Hola, señorita. Hola, señorita. This is the rejection that fully. Could you say that again?
My question is, can we say sorry more in now? Can future in future the sorry were removed?
Okay, let me see if I'm getting this right. You're asking whether saying sorry too much can lose its meaning in the future, kind of like overusing it can make it less powerful.
Okay.
I think you hit on something really important there. Yeah, absolutely. If we say sorry all the time, all the words kind of blend together and become less meaningful. The more sincere it feels, the more it will actually mean to both people.
Okay. My next question is, can saying
That said, though,
why do some people find it's hard to apologize?
thanks. So you're asking why some people struggle to apologize? Or there are a lot of reasons. Some people worry they'll come across as weak or vulnerable if they admit they're wrong.
Yes.
For others, it could be about pride or being raised to never show weakness.
Okay.
Some people genuinely struggle with taking responsibility or admitting fault. Sometimes it's because they actually don't see what they did wrong. And sometimes it's fear of rejection or having to fix something after they mess up. You're welcome. Prego. Di nuovo. I'm not quite following what you said there. Could you repeat that? I think I
Other
missed
question
something.
is, why do some people find is apologizing a sign of weakness or strength?
Ah, okay. You're asking why some people see apologizing as a sign of weakness or being overly sensitive? That's a good one. For some folks, apologizing feels like admitting defeat or vulnerability, like you're not strong enough to handle things without constantly fixing your mistakes. There can also be cultural baggage, like if someone grew up in a home where emotions were suppressed or admitting wrong wasn't seen as courageous. Sometimes it's also about power dynamics. Some people see apologizing as giving the other person control. What do you think about that?
Hello, Maya.
Right, so about
Uh,
apologies being strength or weakness, people's views are pretty
why do
individual
why
based
do
on how
apologize
they grew
differ
up,
across
how they
culture?
see them.
Why do apologize differ
Think
across culture?
you're asking why apologies are expressed differently across cultures? That's actually really complex. Some cultures emphasize indirect communication and see direct apologies as harsh, preferring to show remorse through actions rather than words. In other cultures, especially Western ones, a direct verbal apology is pretty standard. Also, some places like Japan have super detailed systems for expressing apology with different levels of depth, depending on the situation.
Okay.
Cultural values around face saving play a huge role too. How important it is to maintain honor and reputation
Which
can
culture
totally
implies
shape how apologies
apology more
happen.
strong?
That's very sweet of you to say. Thank you. And I totally get what you're saying about that culture inviting a globally stronger approach to things. Cultural understanding is so important for connection between people. hmm Is there something specific you noticed about that contrast?
Okay.
Cool. What's next? Okay, I think you said something about it's not. What were you starting to say?
Which
Take your
culture
time, no
implies
rush.
why? are the culture where saying sorry is rare or rare?
You're asking what cultures see apologies as more important or significant? Where is apology most central? A lot of East Asian cultures really prioritize maintaining harmony and preventing conflict. So, in places like Japan and Korea, saying sorry is central to everything. Also, indigenous cultures often link apologies with restorative practices, where apologies aren't just about admitting wrong, but about rebuilding relationships and making amends. Places that prioritize collective well being tend to see it differently than places that value individualism. Yeah. Could you say that again? I caught some sounds, but I want to make sure I understand you. Could you say that one
Okay.
more time?
My question is, how is apology expert without what?
It looks like there might have been some audio trouble. Could you try rephrasing that question? No, no, no. Sounds like things got a little garbled there. Can you say that again? I'm not picking up what you're saying clearly. It's okay. No, those transcriptions can be tricky. Just try repeating what you meant to say. You're welcome. Gracias. De nada. You're very welcome. Luego.
My question is, which culture implies apology more strong?
I think you're asking which cultures prioritize apologizing the most. Places like Japan, Korea, and China have a strong focus on maintaining social harmony. In Japan, apologies can be super formal with specific ways to show sincerity through bowing and verbal acknowledgement. Korean culture places importance on humility and shows deep respect when apologizing, and in many Chinese contexts, admitting fault is seen as respectful and preserving community relations. Plus, indigenous cultures also emphasize apology as part of restorative practices and community healing. You're very welcome.
Okay, my next question is, what are their cultures were saying sorry in rare?
Could you repeat that? I lost track of what you were saying during that last part. Right. Asking for real world examples of cultures that emphasize apologizing. A good one is Japan. There are different levels and ways to apologize depending on the offense. Bowing correctly is essential, and saying the right apology makes a big difference. In New Zealand, with the Maori people, apologizing and making amends are key part of restorative justice. They involve formal apology ceremonies and steps to rebuild trust in relationships. Does that help? No lo ganado. Could you try saying that again? The audio broke up a bit.
Okay.
Gracias. De nada. Would you like to keep chatting or should we wrap up here?
Acha. Are
Sayonara.
there alternatives to saying sorry?
Absolutely. Instead of story, you could use phrases like, I messed up, my bad, or I was wrong. You could also rephrase and take ownership directly instead of sorry about that. Say, that was my mistake, I'll fix it. Those all come across as more direct than just saying sorry. Hey, might your description below? I caught some of that, but could you repeat your question? It was a bit unclear what you were asking for. Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead with the question.
Okay.
Sounds like you're asking about
My
what
question
this is.
is,
Could you?
do social
I'm
norm
here.
influence how often we
Do
say
social
sorry?
laws affect how? Absolutely. Cultures have very different expectations around apologizing, like East Asian cultures, where apologizing helps maintain harmony. In some cultures, people feel obligated to always say sorry, but in places where directness is valued, like America, people might choose not to apologize as often. Social norms are a major factor in those differences. Does that hit what you were thinking about?
Okay. My next
Okay, cool.
question is, how is apology expressed without word?
I think you mean apologize.
Yes.
So you're asking how to be someone who's good at apologizing effectively. Key thing is be genuine. People can tell if you're just saying the words without really meaning them. Also, show empathy, take ownership, own your part in the mistake without making excuses or blaming others. Most importantly, be specific about what you're apologizing for. De nada.
Okay.
Cool. You're welcome.
My next question
I'm not
is,
quite. Okay, what's your next question?
is
Mm, I think you're asking something about calling someone. The audio quality is a little shaky there, so maybe you could try rephrasing that if you don't mind.
yes. Oh, okay.
Okay,
My
great.
next
What would you like to
question
know?
is, what do you give us last advice?
My best advice? Learn to trust your gut. The intuition you have, the things that feel off or right, those are worth paying attention to. And learn to give and receive sincere apologies. People appreciate it when you own your mistakes. And forgiveness can go a long way in rebuilding relationships.
Okay. This is our Maya. I may you will like this Maya. We will meet in other Maya. Allah Hafiz, Pakistan.